Welcome to Making a Murderer, Rubberducky YouTube channel. Welcome back, you guys, to our fourth day this week. We are doing part 19 of the CASO Investigative Reports, and I just want to thank each of you for joining me every day. Also, as part of that thank you, we're releasing You Got It Tonight's the Night. It's the big mini MaM. So this will be part one, and the mini MaM, the first part is called Mistaken Identity, and I think you're going to love it. We've worked really, really hard. There are a lot of videos in this series, so you'll want to catch each one each week on Thursday, and that'll be at 6 p.m. again, and that's U.S. Central Time. And with that, let's get started on our daily read.
Page 181, type of activity, evidence collection from 110905, date of activity 110905, reporting officer Deputy Craig Wendling, along with Manitowoc County Sergeant Andy Colburn and Lieutenant Jim Link. On Wednesday, 110905, I, Deputy Craig Wendling, was asked to collect evidence from Steven Avery's residence at 12932 Avery Road, Two Rivers, to check safes located at 12930A Avery Road, Two Rivers, and also a safe at 12390 Avery Road, an office building. Items we were to search for were a garage door remote and a pair of women's gloves that would be in Steve Avery's home. We were supposed to check Steven Avery's garage for an emergency kit that may contain or have other parts to a special tool located inside the victim's vehicle. We were also to check the safes in Steven's sister's, Barbara's residence at 12930A Avery Road, and to check the safes located inside the main office shop of the blue building located directly behind 123090 Avery Road. With Sergeant Andrew Colburn and Lieutenant Jim Link of the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department, we did enter into the office of Avery's Auto Salvage, located at 123090 Avery Road, Two Rivers. At 10:04 hours, we did make entry into the office building, which is a blue and white shed. The office is located on north end of that building. Our goal was to open a very large safe located in Stephen's father, Alan Avery's office. At 10:07 hours, we tried to gain entry into the safe using the combination provided by family. After several attempts, we were not able to open the safe, so at 10:10 hours, we did exit the building. We were informed by family that if we would not gain entry to the safe, we should recheck the combination, which would have been located in Charles Avery's house, directly to the south of the building. We were informed by the family the safe combination would be located inside of the phone book on the counter in the kitchen. At 10:12 hours, we did enter Charles's residence and found the phone book and did verify the combination. We exited Charles' house at 10:13 hours. At 10:14 hours, Sergeant Andrew Colburn, Lieutenant Jim Link, and I again gained entry into the main office of Avery's Auto Salvage with the combination. We again tried several times to gain entry into the safe, and at 10:25 hours we did exit the shop and ask for our command post to contact a locksmith to assist us in opening the safe. At 10:26 hours, we did take a walk through the shop area, which is attached to the office, and looked for a kit that would possibly contain other parts of a special tool we were looking for. At 10:34 hours, we were unable to locate any tool or remaining portion of a kit and exited the shop. Page 182. Because we're still waiting for the locksmith to return to open the safe, we decided to go over to Steve Avery's residence at 12932 Avery Road in attempts to locate a garage door opener and a pair of women's gloves. At 10:39 hours, we did enter into Steven Avery's residence and began our search in the very south of the trailer, which was Steven Avery's bedroom. Sergeant Colburn, Lieutenant Link, and I searched the bedroom looking for the garage door opener and a pair of women's gloves. We did locate a pair of women's gloves underneath the desk in the southeast corner of the bedroom, inside of a paper bag. The paper bag would have been located underneath the desk where the chair would go. I did collect a pair of black women's gloves as evidence and tagged them with tag number 8437. Those were collected at 10:40 hours. While looking for the pair of women's gloves and the garage door opener, I located inside of the desk in the top drawer some miscellaneous bullets. Those bullets were collected by me and placed into a bag and tagged with tag number 8436. Also placed inside that bag were 2 knives that were found inside of the left drawer of the desk, and also 1 knife that was located on the nightstand or table next to the desk. Those items would have been collected at 10:41 hours. After collecting those items, we were unable to locate the garage door opener, so we continued on to the next room north of Steven Avery's bedroom, which would have been the bathroom laundry room area. Inside the bathroom laundry room area, in the second drawer from the bottom left of the sink, 2 sexual devices were located. One would have been a dildo and one being a vibrator. Those items were collected as evidence and marked with tag number 8438 and collected at 10:55 hours. All items that were collected were first photographed by Sergeant Colburn. After collecting those 2 items, we continued to search the bathroom and did not locate the garage door opener. At 10:59 hours, we decided to leave Steven Avery's residence because our locksmith had returned. We were going to finish checking the safe in Alan Avery's office in the main office of the shop. At 11:02 hours, we did enter the main office in the blue building located directly behind Alan Avery's residence. We did enter into Alan Avery's office, where a large Liberty safe was located in the northwest corner of that office. A worker from Wally's Locksmith was with me, as well as Lieutenant Link and Sergeant Colborne. The worker from Wally's Locksmith was Scott J. Mueller, date of birth 08/11/54. Scott was given the combination and he was able to open the safe for us. Scott was then excused from the building and I did watch him exit the office, where he was turned over to another officer. The other officer would have been Lieutenant Brett Bowie. Page 183. Once the safe door was open, we did locate 2 sentry, small fire safes, and 1 metal change box and miscellaneous papers. Also lying across a shelf was a side-by-side double-barrel 12-gauge with no serial numbers, Stevens Model 311A. That side-by-side double barrel had been sawed off and the stock was also shortened. That item was collected by me and photographed by Sergeant Colburn at 11:14 hours. The double-barrel 12-gauge was tagged with tag number 8439. I then continued to search Alan Avery's office and did locate some miscellaneous rounds, some 22 rounds and 32 round, and a 12-gauge shell on the left side of Alan's desk, which would be south of the office. Most of the rounds were located on the top shelf of that section of the desk, with the 12-gauge round being located on an open shelf on the same section of the desk. Also on the open shelf was a folding knife with a broken tip, which was opened. These items were collected by me and tagged with 8440. At 11:22 hours, we had Scott Mueller come back into the office, and he was escorted in and brought back to the large safe to open the 2 sentry fireboxes that we could not locate a key for. He did open the fireboxes, and they were looked in, and placed back into a large Liberty safe. We did, at that time, exit Alan's office, and the Liberty safe was secured. Inside the common office area on the south end of the counter was a desk area. We did locate a roll of black duct tape, which was collected by myself and given tag number 8441. That item would have been collected at 11:29 hours. At 11:30 hours, we did exit the office and went back to Steve Avery's residence. At 11:40 hours, we did re-enter Steve Avery's residence at 12932 Avery Road. We continued to search the middle bedroom and then the living room and kitchen area for the garage door opener, but were unable to locate it. We did exit the residence at 11:50 hours with no further evidence at this time. It should be noted all evidence collected at this point was secured in my squad car, which was parked right outside of each residence I was in. At 11:51 hours, Sergeant Colburn, Lieutenant Link, and I went into Steve Avery's garage to continue to look for the garage door opener and any possible kits or tools that would match up with the tool that they had found in earlier searches. On the hood of the gray Suzuki Samurai JX, parked inside the garage, a gray nylon bag containing a roadside emergency kit was located. That kit was clean in appearance and may have been where the tool was removed. The kit was collected as evidence at 11:54 hours and given tag number 8442. Page 184. Also located on the hood of the Suzuki was a roll of gray duct tape, which was collected at 11:56 hours and given tag number 8443. These items were all collected and tagged by me, Windling. Also located on the hood of the gray Suzuki Samurai was a roll of electrical tape that was collected at 12:01 hours and given tag number 8444. While continuing to look through the garage, I did find 2 yellow electrical cords tied around the rafters. There were 2 cords hanging down approximately 2 feet or slightly less apart, which could have been used to hang something. Those items were collected at 12:07 hours. That item was given tag number 8445. It should be noted we did get information off the garage door. It is a LiftMaster 3rd horsepower, the professional line. It was made by Chamberlain Company, part number 41A4252-7C, manufactured on 0695. We exited the garage at 12:10 hours and went to check Steven Avery's black Ford F-350 Super Duper Super Cab truck, bearing Wisconsin license plate number AG5467. This vehicle would have been parked in front of Steven Avery's garage at 12932 Avery Road, Two Rivers. At 12:11 hours, we did enter into that vehicle, and while walking around back, a wadded up piece of duct tape approximately 2 feet behind the rear passenger of the truck was located on the ground. That item was collected at 12:13 hours and given tag number 8446. The search of the Ford F-350 did not produce any garage door opener. We did leave the truck at 12:17 hours. We had been instructed by investigators to collect 2 hammers, which were located by the burn pit behind Steve Avery's garage. We did go back at 12:20 hours by the burn pit and located and observed a rubber mallet with a wood handle and a claw hammer with a yellow handle, appearing to be fiberglass. The claw hammer was located on top of the dirt pile approximately 2 feet just north of the burn pit. That item was collected and placed into a bag and sealed at 12:21 hours by me and given tag number 8447. The items were photographed by Sergeant Colborne. The rubber mallet was located on the grass approximately 1 to 2 feet from the actual burn pit to the south. The rubber mallet would have been a large black rubber mallet with a wooden handle. That item was collected and placed into a bag and secured by me at 12:22 hours and given tag number 8448. At 12:24 hours, we did complete collecting those items, and all items were secured in my squad. Page 185. Our next assignment was to go to Barb's residence at 12930A Avery Road, Two Rivers, to check the Sentry safes located inside. Sergeant Colborne did have the keys for those safes, and we were asked to check them for any possible evidence. At 12:25 hours, we did enter into the residence, and at 12:37 hours, we were in Barbara's bedroom and did locate 2 Sentry safes. The first safe we checked was located on the left side of the bed, while standing at the foot of the bed, and did not have any items of evidentiary value at this time. The second safe was located to the right of the bed, while standing at the foot of the bed, and was a larger, taller Sentry firebox safe. Inside, we did find 2 .22 rounds laying on the bottom, which were collected by me at 12:37 hours. Those items were tagged with tag number 8449. The Sentry safes were placed back in the original location. We went to Bobby Dassey's room to check the Sentry safe, which was located in there. Once we opened that safe in the middle bedroom, which is Bobby Dassey's room, we did locate several .22 caliber rounds, and those items were taken as evidence and secured at 12:41 hours by me. I tagged those items with tag number 8450. After that was completed, we did exit the residence at 12:46 hours. At 12:47 hours, we entered Barbara's garage located to the east of her residence at 12930A Avery Road to look for any other tools or items that would match up with the suspicious tool we had found earlier. We were unable to locate anything and did exit the garage at 12:51 hours. At that time, we did go back to the command post, and I did have my squad with me containing all evidence that was collected. While waiting for our next assignment, we were told there was a cell phone found on the side of the road on State Highway 147, and we should go collect that as evidence. At 1450 hours, we arrived on scene just east of Ridge Road on State Highway 147. In the north ditch right along the gravel line was an AudioVox phone, silver in color, model CDM 881 5UT Star Cam. That item was found by a person searching, his name being John J. Campion, date of birth 07/24/56 of 1631 Holly Drive, Manitowoc, Wisconsin 54220. Home phone number 682-7655. That item have been collected by me at 1452 hours and given tag number 8451. After collecting the phone, we did return to the command post, and all evidence was kept in my exclusive possession in my squad. I then transported all the evidence to the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, where it was placed into evidence room locker number 8 by me. It should be noted Sergeant Colburn did do all the photography for me, and I did collect all the evidence and kept it in my possession. Page 186. It should also be noted that while searching, we were all in the same room, and they were all under my supervision while conducting the searches. Deputy Craig Wendling, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 187. Type of activity supplemental report. Citizen contact Faye L. Fritsch. Laura L. Vogel Schwartz. Date of activity 11/09/05. Reporting officer Sergeant Bill Tyson. On Wednesday, 11/09/05, I, Sergeant Bill Tyson of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, was requested by Investigator Wiegert to attend a briefing meeting that was going to be held at an off-site location. During the meeting, it was determined that Steve Avery, Dolores Avery, Barbara Yonda, Charles Avery, Earl Avery, and Bobby Dassey will be taken in custody on a search warrant and transported to the Aurora Medical Center in Two Rivers for physical examination as well as the retrieval of buccal swabs, and all persons would be requested to submit their palm prints and fingerprints. Sheriff Jerry Pogel did call the Calumet County Jail and did request correctional officers to respond to the command post to meet with me to discuss this procedure and then set up the appropriate fingerprint equipment at Aurora Medical Center. Correctional officers Larry Schroeder and Lori Fleming did meet with me at the command center, and I did brief them as far as what we would be required from them. Correctional officers Schroeder and Fleming and I arrived at Aurora Medical Center in Two Rivers at 12:52 hours. Upon entering Aurora Medical Center, I was met by the security for the facility and taken through secured doors to the emergency room area. Upon entering the emergency room area, I did meet with Faye Fritsch, who identified herself as a registered nurse and added she was also a sane nurse. Faye Fritsch informed me the hospital emergency room was in lockdown and she would be assisted by the medical director of page 188. The facility. Laura Vogel Schwartz, Faye Fritsch, informed correctional officers Schroeder and Fleming they could set up their equipment in an examination room. Faye then took me to the ambulance Sally Port area and informed me the officers could pull directly up to the Sally Port. That information was relayed to the lead investigator, Mark Wiegert. While checking the status on correctional officers Schroeder and Fleming, I was notified by Faye Fritz that Steven Avery had arrived at their facility and he was in a separate examination room with investigators awaiting the physical examination. Faye Fritz informed me she would be conducting the physical examination in the presence of Dr. Laura Vogel Schwartz, and a full medical report would be completed on each of the individuals that had the physical examination. Upon entering the examination room, I did make contact with the investigators and noticed that Steven Avery was also in the room, and he was dressed in a hospital gown. At 13:25 hours, Faye Fritz began her physical examination, and Dr. Laura Vogel Schwartz was taking notes as far as any cuts, scratches, or bruises that were located. Steven Avery did have numerous cuts and scratches on his body which were photographed. After the physical examination, Faye Fritz did the buccal swab on Steven Avery. The buccal swabs were taken from Steven Avery's mouth at 13:51 hours, and I saw Faye Fritz place the swabs into an envelope and seal the envelope. The envelope containing the buccal swabs was turned over to me by Faye Fritz at 13:53 hours. Steven Avery was then taken from the examination room and walked down a short hallway to a different examination room where Correctional Officer Schroeder and Fleming were awaiting his arrival to obtain palm prints and fingerprints. After the palm prints and fingerprints were obtained, Correctional Officer Schroeder did turn those prints to me at 14:10 hours. I was informed that Dolores Avery was in a separate examination room, and they were ready to obtain buccal swabs from Dolores Avery. Upon entering the examination room, I did make contact with Faye Fritz and 2 investigators with Dolores Avery. Faye Fritz conducted the first buccal swab at 14:16 hours and the second buccal swab at 14:17 hours. Faye Fritz placed those swabs in a paper envelope, sealed the envelope, and turned that envelope over to me at 14:18 hours. Dolores Avery was then taken from the examination room to the examination room where the correctional officers Schroeder and Fleming were for the recovery of her palm prints and fingerprints. After the completion of the palm prints and fingerprints, Correctional Officer Schroeder turned the prints over to me at 14:32 hours. Page 189. I was informed that Barbara Yonda was in an examination room awaiting the buccal swab testing. Upon entering that room, I did make contact with Investigator Wendy Baldwin and Barbara Yonda. Faye Fritz entered the room shortly thereafter and stated there was a problem with the hospital records, showing they did not have any record for Barbara Avery. Upon looking for the search warrant, it appeared as if a mistake was made on the warrant naming Barbara Yonda as Barbara Avery. I asked Barbara Yonda if she would be willing to give consent to have the buccal swabs done and her fingerprints. Barbara informed me she was more than willing to do that because she wanted this thing to be over once and for all, and not to be considered as a suspect. I did retrieve a permission to search form and did fill out the form. Barbara signed the form stating she would give consent for the buccal swab testing as well as the retrieval of her fingerprints and palm prints. A copy of that form was made for the hospital and Barbara Yonda. The buccal swabs were conducted by Faye Fritz, and they were taken at 14:46 hours. Faye Fritz placed those buccal swabs in an envelope and sealed the envelope. That envelope was turned over to me by Faye Fritz at 14:47 hours. Barbara Yonda was then taken to the examination room for her fingerprints. After completing the procedure, Correctional Officer Schroeder did turn over Barbara's palm prints and fingerprints to me at 15:02 hours. I was then informed Charles Avery was in an examination room awaiting his physical examination. Upon entering that room, I did make contact with 2 investigators, and they introduced me to Charles Avery. Dr. Vogel Schwartz and Faye Fritz entered the room and began the physical examination of Charles Avery at 15:10 hours. Charles Avery did have scratches and cuts on his body, and those scratches and cuts were documented by Dr. Vogel Schwartz. I did take photographs of those cuts and scratches on Charles Avery's body. The physical examination ended at 15:22 hours. Faye conducted the buccal swabs on Charles Avery at 15:22 hours. The buccal swabs were placed in an envelope and sealed, and that envelope was turned over to me by Faye at 15:24 hours. Charles Avery was then taken to the examination room for his palm prints and fingerprints. After Correctional Officer Schroeder received those prints, he turned over Charles Avery's palm prints and fingerprints to me at 15:46 hours. I was informed that Earl Avery was in an examination room waiting his physical examination. Upon entering that room, I did make contact with 2 investigators and was introduced to Earl Avery. Faye Fritz and Dr. Vogel Schwartz were also in the room, and they began the physical examination of Earl Avery at 15:53 hours. The physical examination of Earl Avery ended at 15:59 hours. The buccal swabs were done by Faye Fritz, and they were collected from Earl at 1600 hours. Faye Fritz placed those, page 190, buccal swabs in an envelope, did seal the envelope, and turned the envelope over to me at 16:01 hours. Earl Avery was then taken to the examination room for retrieval of his palm prints and fingerprints. After that process was completed, Correctional Officer Schroeder did turn those prints over to me at 16:13 hours. I was informed that Bobby Dassey was in an examination room waiting his physical examination. Upon entering into that room, I did make contact with the two investigators and was introduced to Bobby Dassey. Faye Fritz and Dr. Vogel Schwartz came into the room and did begin the physical examination at 16:28 hours. The physical examination ended at 16:38 hours. All markings on Bobby Dassey were photographed. Faye Fritz did do the buccal swabs on Bobby Dassey at 16:39 hours. The buccal swabs were placed in an envelope and sealed, and that envelope was turned over to me by Faye Fritz at 16:40 hours. At approximately 15:40 hours, I was notified by Special Agent Joseph Capitani. The Wisconsin State Crime Lab wanted the palm prints and the fingerprints of Steven Avery as soon as possible. I did turn over the FBI fingerprint card containing Steven Avery's fingerprints as well as the left and right palm prints to Joseph Capitani. Joseph Capitani did sign the evidence document, stating he did receive those items for transport to the Wisconsin State Crime Lab. All other items were transported to the Calumet County Sheriff's Department and secured in the evidence room. All photographs taken were taken from the Calumet County investigator's digital camera. That camera was turned over to investigator John Dietering. Sergeant Bill Tyson, Calumet County Sheriff's Department.
Okay, we're going to start our review with page 181. Today's going to be a pretty quick review. I find it interesting, this special tool that was located inside the victim's vehicle, and they're looking for where that came from. So that's the main thing they're looking for. They also are searching for a garage door remote, and they are very desperate for that remote, and I don't know why. And a pair of women's gloves, which I believe they find, yes. So we're going to jump down here, and it talks about they walked through the shop, which is attached to the office, and looked for the kit that could possibly contain other parts of the special tool we were looking for. They never named the tool. So I want to know what was found in Teresa Halbach's vehicle. So on page 182, they did locate a pair of women's gloves underneath the desk. This is at Steven Avery's home, in a brown paper bag. That's strange. It sounds like they were just purchased. While they were looking for the gloves and a garage door opener, they located inside the top drawer some miscellaneous bullets. No big deal there. After collecting these two items, so they had collected a vibrator and a dildo, they continued to search in the bathroom and didn't find the door opener in the bathroom either. 183, they're at Alan Avery's office, and they locate in the safe there a 12-gauge shell on the left side of Alan's desk, which should be on the south office, and some other rounds. And then they go on to say, excuse me, I'm still battling a little bit of that cold. On 1151, Sergeant Colburn and Link, and who is this? We've lost who this is. La la la. This is a long report. Wendling. We don't always hear a lot about him. But they're still looking for this garage door opener and any possible kits or tools that would match up to the tool that they had found in earlier searches, which was in Teresa Halbach's vehicle. And in page 184, it should be noted, we get information off the garage door. It's a LiftMaster 3 horsepower. What is with the garage door and the garage door opener? I don't understand it. They're really desperate. Now they're searching Steve's truck for the garage door opener. They do get instructed to collect 2 hammers, which are located by the burn pit by Stevens. We go back at about 12:20 in the burn pit, and they observe the rubber mallet with a wooden handle and a claw hammer with a yellow handle appearing to be fiberglass. And then on page 185, they go into Barbara's garage, And they're again looking for this tool that would match up with the suspicious tool we had found earlier. Then they have cell phone records on the side of the road. Or not cell phone records, I'm sorry, I misspoke. They find a cell phone on the side of the road on State Highway 147, and they go to collect it. And it's laying in the north ditch along gravel line. It's an audio Vox phone. It's silver in color. That's strange for something like that to be laying out there. I would love to know when they picked it up who does it belong to, you guys? Why are we not allowed to know that? Now, it's interesting that it's found by John J. Campion. And John's brother was the gentleman that found years before Deb Sukhawati dead in the Randit pit. I believe that was the 70s. Now, Deb Sukhawati is Carmen Botwell's aunt. So that's his brother that found her, and now he's on the Teresa Halbach case, and he is finding this weird phone that they won't talk about. Now, some people call this a burner phone, but all that means is that you have to pay by a time frame. So it's not something that's assigned to you all the time on contract. It's literally renewed monthly. So they call it Kratz, I believe, calls it a burner phone. Most of us that are running on that timeline where once a month we renew our minutes, those would have been called burner phones too. Now let's jump to 186. I think it's weird how Wendling seems to be babysitting the other police officers. And if you have to babysit the other cops and keep them in your eyes, why are they even in this? Why has Manitowoc County not recused themselves? Now we're going to get into the physical examination here of the Avery and Dassey family. And I thought it was interesting that the MD, I believe this is the MD, Laura, is Vogel. Now Vogel, that name stems, why it rings a bell to us, is Dennis Vogel was the DA that prosecuted Steven Avery in 1985, knowing and having already prosecuted Gregory Allen, excuse me, in 1983. So is she related? Because everybody else seems to be. And she's doing the examinations, and she's getting the buccal swabs and the palm and the fingerprints from Stephen and Dolores, Barbara, Charles, Earl, and Bobby. Page 188, Vogel Schwartz does a full medical report, so just seems strange to have the same name and not be related, but that could happen. It happens every day. But usually in Manitowoc, that means something. Page 189, they've got a search warrant, and they're using this to acquire Barb Yonda, her physical examination, buccal swabs and fingerprints and palm prints. And the search warrant is not under Barb Yonda. It's listed as Barb Avery. But it does state here that Barb Yonda was willing to do that because she was more than willing to do that because she wanted this thing to be over once and for all and not be considered a suspect. So then we're on our last page, page 190. Now this is where I have the biggest problem with these 10 pages. I was notified, this is Bill Tyson talking, I was notified by Special Agent Joseph Capitani of the Wisconsin State Crime Lab that they wanted the palm prints and fingerprints of Steven Avery as soon as possible. Why? All they have is the RAV sitting on the Avery property. Why would they not want Earl's right away, Chuck's right away, Barb's right away, Bobby's right away? Nope. They've chosen out of all those individuals, it's got to be Steven. Now, keep in mind, yes, this dated form is on the 9th, and they have found the key in Steven's bedroom. But why would you not want to have those elimination swabs? so that you knew you could rule them out or question why they are there. I mean, it just seems so strange to me that it's only Stevens and all the others don't even get sent to the crime lab. They actually get sent to Calumet County Sheriff's Department. What's the DNA going to do them? What good is it going to do? And note that this time, Colburn's not taking the pictures. It's actually taken by the Calumet County Investigator's digital camera. And Colburn's not in this one, you guys. A photo where he didn't take one. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us on our Daily MaM Read. All right, you guys, that concludes our Daily MaM Reading of Part 19, which was pages 181 through 190. And if you want to have some fun, tonight is the big night, you guys. It is. It's actually the night that we have the mini MaM released. And it's part 1, and it's called Mistaken Identity. And it starts at 6 o'clock p.m. U.S. Central Time, and I hope you'll meet us there. So thank you for your support, and have a wonderful day. And with that, you guys, it's time. If you didn't do the crime, you shouldn't do the time. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful evening.